Good afternoon. Welcome to the July Parks and Rec Advisory Committee meeting. We have two folks virtually, Linda and Edge, and that's it, Edge, right? Okay. First of all, is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest? Anybody? Seeing none, I need a mover and a seconder to approve the agenda. Okay. Rosalind? Yeah. Mayor Harrison? Any comments, discussion related to that? All in favor? Carried. We need a mover and seconder to approve the minutes. Okay. Again, Mayor Harrison and Rosalind. Any discussion, comments? All in favor? Carried. Okay. We have a delegation of Mike Rizakis, and he's going to address us about enhancing Quinte West parks. And 10 minutes, correct? Yep. Okay.
All right, I can't even begin to enumerate how much my family and I have benefited from the parks in the city, and we have many beautiful parks. And over the years that I've been here, 23 years now, we've seen many, many wonderful improvements. So I think that is fantastic. Today, my presentation is going to be about a few things that I think we might be able to improve on. I know this is a big year with the Parks Master Plan coming up, so it's also an opportunity to make some suggestions, as many people have, I know. So, sorry, Dufferin Park, my first focus point. This is sandwiched between the Seasons Dufferin Center and Mount Pelion. Now, when the old Dufferin Center was replaced with Seasons, the park, or what was in the park, was not. So what we have here is a big grass field, and as you can see, there's a slope right there, and then up top we've got a field of grass. Now, just going forward a little bit, this is in 2002. Kids are all grown up now. My wife is in the blue. My wife's sister is in the white. So there was something there. I'm assuming it was left over from the old Dufferin School, but so there was something there for the kids, and we did spend a fair bit of time there. There's a little bit of a baseball or t-ball thing on the right there. There were some benches that we were able to sit at as well. Now, this was, I guess at the time, somewhat of a neighborhood park. Could have been a little bit better, but I'm going to read a little bit from the Quinte West draft official plan. The neighborhood parks are designed to serve local neighborhood residents, generally within walking distance of the park site, without having to cross major barriers such as a major road. A well-developed neighborhood park atmosphere would typically be comprised of the following: passive areas, active play area, playground equipment, walkways, and trees/shade areas. The park should be located within approximately 600 meters of the residential area being served. Now, that last little bit about 600 meters, so if you live across the street, for example, from this park and you're looking for a playground, which you won't find here, you would be 1.4 kilometers from Stanley Park, 1 kilometer from Hanna Park, in which case you would have to cross Dundas Street. You would be 2 kilometers from Centennial Park. Another thing to point out here is that we've got this nice little slope. Now, we've got a residence here full of elderly people who could perhaps take advantage of this park if it was properly equipped. Now, if you put a set of stairs here, for example, with a railing, if you put a ramp so that wheelchairs could get up to that top part, and you had some benches, some shade, this could actually be a wonderful place for people from Seasons to enjoy. Going up the hill to Mount Pelion Park, one of our major attractions in town. It is an absolutely beautiful spot, and as you can see, it's beautiful in all seasons from up there, and people go up there in all seasons. This time of year, if you're up there, let's say you went up to the tower, you were here with your family, you're exploring the city, it's a beautiful spot overlooking, but there is no place to be. So if you want somebody to stay, if they want to have a picnic, for example, there are no picnic benches, there is no outhouse, there is a small bench at the bottom of the stairs, but it doesn't invite you to stay in the area. The vegetation is growing over the railing, it's grown over the bench at the bottom, it's grown over the historical plaque that's there. This is the structure at the top of Mount Pelion, and I have cropped out the foul language on the building, but anyone who goes up there, including any tourist who goes up there, is seeing this building plus the foul language that is graffitied on it. The debris is constantly washing down onto the stairs and appears, no one is proactively cleaning it up. And there's a lot of vegetation growing through the steps. Garbage in the cannon is a common occurrence. I take it out when I can. If it's not too mucky, sometimes I try to bring a bag so I can haul it out. You can see the pedestal on the cannon is in need of a little bit of a paint job. So this is an important place, and some proactive maintenance would be, I think, very beneficial. Another perhaps little known spot for the residents, Trenmur Lake, or Tremor Lake, depending on how you know it. The sign there, which used to be visible, says Trenmur Lake Park, and it has all the rules. But if you didn't know the park was there, you probably wouldn't be able to find it. Now, the area where this park is, it's a gorgeous, mature woodland. And it is, sorry for that, let me put this thing on silent. So it's a gorgeous, mature woodland. It's the kind of woodland that is becoming increasingly rare in the most southern parts of Ontario because of development primarily. Now, there are many, many plants and animal species that depend on this kind of mature woodland, and it would be a shame not to preserve it. It's ironic, the tree that's in front there obscuring the sign is actually a butternut, and here's a closer look at the sign. You can sort of see it says Trenmur, but this is a butternut tree, and it is actually an endangered species in Ontario. That's the parking lot, unmaintained. That's my vehicle. Very difficult to get in there and turn around. There's the pathways, again, not maintained. If you go in there, today it's beautiful. Put on your long pants, put on your bug spray, you're going to need it, and then do a tick check on the way out. But it is a gorgeous place to walk. The lake from the park. Another view. Beautiful in the fall. For those of you that aren't familiar with this is just south of Trenmur Lake off of Wooler Road, just south of Telephone Road. Oops, hang on a second. Okay, the lake is very much used by migratory waterfowl, so we've seen quite a few different species in there, including trumpeter swans. These are mostly ringneck ducks, big flock of them. They nest in the boreal forest up north, just passing through in the spring. And this little thing, which I think is an eastern wood pewee, just posed for me when I was last in the park. It's one of the flycatchers, and they all look very similar, so I'm not 100% sure on that one. Now, there are references to Trenmur Lake Park in the recommendations from the old Parks Master Plan, plus the draft Quinte West Master Plan that you just came up with. I'll read you from the 2007 Parks Master Plan. There's an opportunity to establish city community parkland to serve as a focal point for the surrounding community. Amenities could include access to waterfront, picnic pavilion, and other community facilities that would support year-round usage, including passive, nature-based recreation such as hiking trails and potentially a hand launch area for canoes and kayaks. And this is referring specifically to Trenmur Lake. And then from the city's master plan, one of the objectives to maintain, restore, and enhance the health and biodiversity of natural heritage features and their associated ecological functions and protect them from incompatible development. So very important. I think this would make a beautiful park to the south. There's some open areas for lots of opportunity for running around, for picnic areas, shelters, and that sort of thing. So a great place to improve for the people of Quinte West and beyond, for everybody, actually. Hannah Park, absolutely gorgeous park. Trails, Oops, sorry. Trails, playgrounds, the dog park, tennis courts. The last, I take these pictures when people aren't around. I don't want to make it, I don't want to creep anybody out. But this place is humming quite often. Lots and lots of people there. There's one little lonely picnic bench behind the playground there. One thing that is, I think, clearly, obviously missing are more picnic benches, places for people to be in the park. There were lots of people on the ground when I was there picnicking, but quite frankly, many people like me, for example, aren't that comfortable on the ground anymore. So something like that, lots of beautiful shade, but no place for all these people to be in terms of picnicking. The other thing is that perhaps because of the busyness of this park and the many uses it has, it might be a good candidate for a public washroom. Okay, so just the woods there. I'm going to show you, this would also apply to Trenmore Lake Park, the woodlands, the kind of life it supports. Of course, many of the spring flowers like the trillium and the trout lily. You never know who's watching you. But what's clear is that the big trees and the old trees are very, very important habitat for many, many creatures, as you can see. Pileated woodpecker, boring holes in the tree looking for food, but also creating habitat for other creatures. Great horned owls been nesting there. Didn't see any this year, but I know they were nesting there fairly recently. This is an owlet, not quite there yet, still growing up, but it was one of a couple of young that were nesting there in a big old pine tree. I think I'm running low on time here. Kiwanis Community Park. What's that? 3 minutes. Okay, thank you. So Kiwanis Community Park on the east end of the river, right by the Trenton Rowing and Paddling Club. You've got the boat launches in the background. Very, very nice park. Lots of people use it. Great place for strolling. People go through there on their bikes or for walks. As you can see, there are some benches, but if you were, say, on a day paddling on the river, you wanted to come and have a picnic, well, you're out of luck. There's really nowhere to be. There are a couple of outhouses, but you've got these gorgeous shade trees, like there too, and there are no picnic benches. So again, are we inviting people just to pass through, or are we inviting people to stay? Oops, let me go back. Yeah. This is Stanley Park. So very expansive park in the West End. Could use a little more, could use some more amenities, perhaps maybe even like a partial basketball court like in Hanna Park. There could use a little more shade, some benches, that sort of thing. Swimming got cut off somehow. Anyway, let's go on. We spend a lot of money in this city on boat launches. A lot of money. That's fine. A lot of people use them. They're very well used. And you can see that people enjoying the river that way. However, we don't provide for swimming. Lots and lots of riverfront, lots and lots of frontage on the bay. The kids want to swim. They're out there swimming, usually at Fraser Park these days. And they don't have any formal place to swim, nothing big enough for them, nothing that provides proper facilities. So that's something to seriously think about. Now, swimming is something that is in the old Parks Master Plan, and I'll just read you a little bit. Consider the role of undeveloped open space on the Bay of Quinte shoreline, potentially engaging the local community in determining possibilities for the lands and providing areas of access for recreation and enjoyment of the bay. And however, public consultation revealed that there is interest in improving access to the waterways for, and I emphasize swimming, canoeing, canoe launching, fishing, and boating, and informal access to the water for swimming continues to be in demand in a waterfront community. So this is from the 2007 master plan. So last one, why is there a parking lot where, in my opinion, and I think hopefully in many others, there should be a park? So we have this gorgeous waterfront, and this speaks to how we value the land. This speaks to how we set priorities for development. It speaks to whether or not we seek alternatives to this kind of thing. So these parking lots are there on what could be otherwise beautiful waterfront parkland. We have our most important building here, beautiful building, but the approach to this building is a parking lot. And the next slide is to contrast this. And this is the old East York City Hall, now the East York Civic Center. East York was a city, of course, in old metropolitan Toronto. They have some surface parking, most of it's underground, and this is the approach to the building. This is what you see, and this is why I wanted to contrast this to what we have here. Something to think about in the future for how we develop or redevelop our city. Thank you. I'll take questions or comments.
Thank you, Mike. Are there any questions at all?
Well, sure, let's start with this picture right here. The last slide you had, Mike.
Oh, it's not up. IT person? Sorry.
Okay.
There we go, that's the last slide.
All right, so that's part of coming into the city hall,
Yes.
and you know we don't own the land?
You're talking about the parking lot?
We don't own the land?
Oh, you don't own the land, okay.
Right,
Right. I didn't know that.
yeah. We don't own any of this property nor over there. You got Director Angelo here, he's got a pretty good memory. We'll trust it.
Well, just to clarify, Your Worship, the municipality does own the parking lot out front of City Hall. There's part of the land on the west side of City Hall that we have leased. That part of the parking lot and the marina area is leased. But this area directly out front of City Hall is actually owned by the municipality, as far as I recall.
Okay, let's go a little bit further. Let's take the road to the east of us. Tell them how much of that we own.
Your Worship, you are correct. The road east of us is not owned by the municipality. So Albert Street is a private road, as well as that boat launch. Yes, you are correct.
We owned that road, plus we owned the boat launch at one time, and we paid $50,000 to get the boat launch from the federal government, and then we sold the whole thing after we acquired it for less money than we paid to get the boat launch. Okay, now where am I going? What I'm trying to inform you with is that you have to look carefully at a lot of these things. I know what you're saying, and there are ways of improving the parks. Yes, there are. And I think we've got a master plan. We have to look at what we own and what we can do with the property without getting into any kind of a conflict or lawsuit. Like yesterday, we had the touch-a-truck to the west of the city hall. That property, again, is not our property. That property is owned by Trenton Cold Storage. And this bit of park out here is owned by Allier Park, Allier Bernice, Allier Estate. So we have to walk carefully and make sure that what we do is not only acceptable, but something that we are going to be able to develop and maintain and look after. So
I agree. I'm not disagreeing with you. It's
no, I don't. I didn't mean you were.
No, but no, absolutely, I agree, totally. But worth thinking about when these kinds of developments take place. Consider what the value of the land could be for various purposes, and how best to arrange something like parking when there might be another way. Considering the aesthetics of the land, considering the aesthetics of the situation as well.
The one slide where you come up to the water and you told about the parking lot there,
Yes.
that parking lot cost us $1 million. Both the boat launches that we put in just by the police station and the one down by the arena, they were $1 million apiece.
Yeah, I'm sure
Yeah.
parking lots are very expensive.
Anyway.
The question is, my issue
But
is where do you-
it's an investment that we make
Yeah.
in our city so that we're attracting people to come here. The same with the marina. You know, we've got a lot of money invested in the marina, but it brings people to our city and not only to visit as tourists, but come here to live. So we have a master plan that we're working on. I know that you live in Trenton. I understand that. And every slide you showed today was Trenton.
Yes, oh yeah, they're all Trenton, yes.
Of course, I
The
don't live.
animals were in Henna Park. Everything was in Trenton. I
Yeah.
mean, Trenton Lake.
So I want you to go out, a few weeks ago, Canada Day, my wife and I were invited to a Canada Day party in Wooler, at the Wooler Ball Diamond. and it was put on by many local people who work here, and they came from Sri Lanka. In fact, there were well over 100 people there, and 85 of them work and live in this area. And then there were another group came to visit and be a part of their Canada Day celebration, came from Brampton. And one of them was a doctor, and I talked to him, and his wife is a dentist, so she's a doctor as well. And I said, I can only make one suggestion to you, and that is to come here and work and live. And they were excited and really appreciative of the work that we've done in some of our parks. So you're right on. We have to keep doing it. We have to have a plan so that we can afford to do what we want to do. And I'll stop. Thank you.
Any other questions, Dave? Dave?
Yeah,
Whitney?
Mike, thanks very much. That was awesome looking at all the parks. I was jotting down kind of common themes, and since you are my new expert of these parks that you've walked around, a couple of them you mentioned washrooms just because of the amount of use, but not all of them, which I found interesting. But you just want them more inviting, basically, picnic tables, benches, trash cleaned up, and Pelion, in that case, the graffiti cleaned up as well. In some way of dealing with the trash problems. It seems to be kind of a common theme. It makes sense. You want the environmental pollution taken care of, in the sense being able to walk up the path, getting things cut back so we can see the signs, that kind of stuff, but also the human pollution cleaned up that people will look after. I think what we need to do probably is find areas that have done it, because I know trash is a problem not only in these parks everywhere, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't be trying to get at it and figure it out. I think what you showed in the 5 or 6 parks that you've been in is there are some common problems that all could be addressed. It's just a matter of figuring out how to best do it. So thank you very much. I very much enjoyed the presentation.
That's exactly right. And in terms of the washrooms, the only place I really mentioned a sort of a formal public washroom, like with water and stuff, would be something like Hanna Park, because it's so heavily used. For the other parks, an outhouse would always be welcome. I mean, I spent so much time with my kids in the parks when I was young, and if it would have been very nice to have that. And lots of people, especially if somebody needs to go to a washroom frequently, or an elderly person, pregnant woman, just nice to have some kind of facility in any public park. But yes, you're absolutely right about the common themes.
I wanted to echo the other comments. Thank you very much for pulling that together. I thought the other theme that came up was the need for seating. So the picnic table concept and shade
Yes.
seem to be another couple common themes. But I would look to see what is being captured in the master plan, and then where we're gapping out based on what we saw today.
No, I think excellent presentation. You
Thank you.
enlightened some points on, yeah, you're right about the seating and stuff. I think we, in those cases, probably need some more. And again, I'm hoping the master plan is going to, once we get into it a little deeper, is going to solve some of those issues.
Yeah, really looking forward to it.
Yeah, good
Okay.
job.
I just also wanted to welcome Councillor Stidall. I forgot to mention, she wasn't online at the time. Councillor Boyce?
Thank you, and thank you very much, Mike. And this morning I spent a couple hours over at one of our neighboring municipalities' park. It's the new Sunny Cliff Belch Park in Belleville, and it's a perfect example of what municipalities and private partnerships can do when they have liked ideas. So I mean, you have a park here that has green space. You have a park that has pickleball courts, basketball courts, skateboard parks, and beautiful washrooms. Absolutely beautiful washrooms with not only the washroom but the outdoor fountain where you can refill your water bottle. And so as we develop it with our master plan, the as you know, the municipality has a certain amount of money that we offer, but we need to look at our partners out in the communities that are are willing to invest in these parks. And I know we already do in some of our parks already, but I mean, what we can accomplish when we have our municipality and groups like Rotary and private groups as well, is we can beautify the city and get all these amenities. So I certainly appreciate you coming today. And when I looked at a couple of pictures, I laughed. I said, yeah, you know what? That's especially the sign there. I think it was in Tremor, where here's a beautiful potential for a park that everybody can use, regardless of what they enjoy. There's plenty of room, but yet we don't even see the sign, sort of thing. So it's maintaining our parks, looking at ideas like adopt a park. I know in various municipalities that I was in visiting in the States, and other cities where you've got parks that have been adopted by Kiwanis, Rotary, schools, Cubs, everything, and they work together with municipalities. So as we develop our master plan, I'll be pushing for community groups to come together and join forces and make those parks a lot nicer.
Councillor
Thank you very
Reid?
much, Ray.
Councillor Reid?
Thank you for your presentation. I know you've pointed out 4 or 5 parks, but I would like, and perhaps Director Angelo can fill me in on the exact numbers, but I'd like to commend our Parks and Recreation staff and Public Works staff for the amount of parks that they do keep in fantastic shape with all around through Quinte West. Yes, you showed a few parks that perhaps need some sprucing up, but I really think that our Parks and Recreation staff do a fantastic job of keeping, I think it's over 60 parks, is it not? Maybe Director Angelo, you could fill us in on the number that they're looking after every day.
Councillor, or Director Angela?
Thank you, and thank you, Councillor Reid. You're correct. So there's well over 60, but in addition to all that, it's all the grass cutting and it's all the maintenance of the parks. We're not unique in that with the amount of rain and the vegetation growth and the maintenance and the graffiti, it's certainly a challenge every year to continue with the maintenance programs that we do have, with the resources that we have. As we go forward, I appreciate the comments, and we'll take those into consideration when we look at the Parks Master Plan and look at updating that. The challenge with Tremor Lake is there's a lot of endangered species and protected tree species, butternut being one of them. I can't remove that. Certainly we can transplant it, but there's rules about transplanting those butternut trees. So there are challenges across the board, but we're not unique in this municipality compared to other municipalities as well.
Councillor Stadal.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is, again, it was an excellent presentation, and it is definitely a point where we need to spend some attention, but also some dollars, which I think is one of the issues that we do have, is that we've got certain services that we have that are prioritized, and unfortunately the parks don't always make it to the top of the list. We have, we've got some upgrades that are going on. We did the one in Tucker's Corners. That's kind of got, that's platooned in this year, but it's kind of a one-off. I'm looking forward to the Recreation Master Plan, because we really need a long-term solution for all of these parks. I know in particular, I've been talking with the directors in regards to the park that's in my area, which is the Montrose Park. It's it's in a failing state. It had a purpose at one point, and it was one of the prime parks, and it's slowly deteriorated over time, and it's because the money's just not available. We need a long-term solution for these parks, and what we're going to be doing so that everybody can utilize them and have access, and that we have a basketball court. It's in dire need of just replacement of the nets and prac ceiling. And it's been there for 25 years, but putting things into the parks, adding, picnic benches and different things like that, you then need a maintenance plan in order to maintain those types of things. Once you bring your levels of service up and people have an expectation that this is what you're going to be providing, then we also need to be able to continue to provide it at that level. And that's where the money comes into it. So these are great ideas, and like I said, I'm really looking forward to the master plan and what the outcome of that is going to be, and what we really need to do to fund these types of projects.
So, sorry, just a couple of final comments. I agree that we have many, many amazing parks here. And as I said at the beginning of my presentation, I appreciate very much all the work that goes into the parks and how much me and my family have been able to benefit by these parks. The other thing about long-term, I agree. We need long-term solutions. And the reason I started with Dufferin Park and Mount Pelion is because these are long-standing issues. And Trenmore Lake as well. These are long-standing issues. So, working at these things over the long term would make a big difference. So Dufferin Park, when was the Dufferin Center taken down? Probably more than a dozen years ago, or around a dozen years ago. So since the park, or whatever playground equipment, for example, was taken out, to this day, nothing has gone in its place. And Mount Pelion, unfortunately, even though it's a very important site, seems to be on the back burner in terms of maintenance. So little things like that, or if we look at it in terms of long-term and keep doing the little things over time, then there aren't so many big things to do all at once. So yes, a long-term plan would be absolutely great, and just to pay attention to all of the parks as a whole, sort of take a holistic approach, look at the parks, take an inventory of what do we need. Maybe we can do something for the small parks, as out in everywhere, so that nothing is really completely neglected. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mike. Okay.
Just before we finish, there's one main point we haven't mentioned. That's vandalism.
Oh, yeah, that's a big problem.
That is a big problem. I'm going to come back to either Director Grimmin or Director Angelo with Fraser Park. And remember we put the benches out there, and what did we have to do in the docks as well? We had to chain them. Don't remember? Well, we had to chain them down, and even then, they didn't last.
Right.
That's the unfortunate part. We spend a lot of money to make things better and make them more attractive and more usable, and then somebody decides that, yeah, I don't like it.
No, I agree. The vandalism problem is an ongoing thing and a serious issue. Yeah. No, we've dealt with it at the Rowing and Paddling Club too. Anyway, thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Mr. Chairman, if I can add, it's not only the vandalism, it's also the homelessness issue that we're facing, every municipality is facing. But I just want to add a comment about Dufferin Park. When Seasons was built and the regrading of that parkette, I call it, was done, that the original swing set was not owned by the municipality. It was actually owned by the Dufferin Center. Decision was made by the council of the day to make that a passive area, not an active area. So that wasn't a decision made by staff. It was a recommendation, a couple of recommendations went forward to council of the day, and council of the day made that decision, make that as a passive area, and not put an active playground equipment back into that park. So that's just some information for all of you, because I've been here for a long time, so I remember a lot of those details that happened. So.
Okay. Item, correspondence. Is there any correspondence? Seeing none, perfect segue into Director Grimmin's presentation, I think.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. Just a verbal update today, not a formal presentation. I think at our next scheduled meeting, we will have some more slides and things like that to share. But certainly for today, I thank Mr. Rasakis for his presentation and perfect segue into an update on the Parks and Recreation Master Plan that's currently underway. I was taking some notes while listening to Mr. Rasakis' presentation and his points about benches, picnic tables, shade structures, basketball, play structures, green spaces, washrooms, naturalized areas, exploring partnerships were just some of the quick ones that I was able to jot down. Certainly all of those are within the scope of the Parks and Recreation Master Plan. So again, great feedback, wonderful timing in that we are still in the throes of that particular project. I will just clarify, as part of Mr. Vasakis' presentation, there was a mention of, and some photos of trails as well. I will just clarify that a full-scale trails strategy is not within the scope of this master plan. We do have other plans that do feed into the master plan, the Waterfront Trail Master Plan, Centennial Park Master Plan. Some of those address trails as well. So certainly we consider how trails connect to a lot of these spaces, but this won't include a full scope of trails planning. What I'll also just share with the committee is that we have conducted and completed 3 initial engagement opportunities. Those were surveying opportunities in 3 specific target areas. One was a open and publicly advertised community stakeholder and public surveying period that we had open for about a month's period. Advertised that in a number of different areas and did get quite a great response from residents. So definitely thank the community for putting the time in, because it wasn't a short survey. It did involve a commitment of about 10 to 15 minutes. And usually when surveys like that go out, we do see kind of lower participations. But this is something that the community is definitely actively interested in and certainly engaged on. So we did see a great participation on that. Additionally, we had a dedicated staff and council directed survey, and then further a stakeholder engagement survey. So that was something that went out to a lot of the partner organizations around the city, our sports organizations, both our winter ice users, our sports field and park rental groups, just to talk about what their needs are, what their needs might be for the future, how they're seeing their registrations trend, and how we can take that back under advisement when we're working with the consultant to bring back recommendations that form the draft plan. In saying all this, I will certainly share, Mr. Vasakis, your presentation with our consultant, because I think there was some great information there, and I don't want that to get lost in that obviously didn't get picked up potentially in a survey, and you weren't able to attach that in great detail. So I will gladly share that with them and your feedback. Aside from the surveying period that has since closed, there will be future opportunities for engagement with the community. We didn't want to make that kind of a one and done. We wanted to make sure that there was different opportunities for the community to engage in this project moving forward. So what we are gearing up for in later August and early September are an open house where we will invite the community to take part and come to a central location. We will have a number of different stations around the room for residents to engage in a number of different areas that relate to this project. And then just working with our consultant right now to kind of pivot on some of the feedback that I received from some members of council to look at also making sure we have a touch point in the various wards within the community, whether that's on a smaller scale, that's something more, neighborhood or community-based, that's appropriate. So we're just looking to resource that and make sure we can provide as much opportunity for the community to engage as possible. On the side, while that is being planned and taking place, the consultant team is certainly working away like busy bees, completing different inventory of all those wonderful park spaces that we currently have around the city, and all of the different program partners that also exist around the city currently, and looking at opportunities of where there might be gaps moving forward into the future based on population projections and just certainly some trends in parks and recreation. So that's what I have to share, and certainly, like I said, on the heels of Mr. Vasakis' presentation, which I appreciate. Happy to receive any comments or questions from the committee at this time.
I have one. At the last meeting, Mr. Whitney asked about the Hastings or the school boards being consulted. Were they? I can't remember.
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair, great question. Yes, the school boards were all part of our stakeholder targeted engagement. And we did reach out to the individual school boards for their feedback. I also met with one of them kind of at a separate meeting, and they were very interested in being engaged in the process moving forward.
Any other questions? Yes.
Thanks for the update. Sounds like it's coming along great. I'm like everyone here, I'm really interested in that plan and seeing it all come together. How are we updating the community in terms of progress? So a lot of people filled out the survey. They're interested in where it went and what's going on. So is there a public place where we can direct people to get the updates?
Through Mr. Chair to Ms. Fuller. Yes, absolutely. The city does maintain an engagement platform called Get Involved Quinte West. It is accessible through our website, and we do have a project page dedicated specifically to the Parks and Rec Master Plan project, where we will be kind of updating timelines and providing any information, whether it's surveying or upcoming open house opportunities. So that's, I can certainly send that link out to all the committee members after today's meeting.
Is there any new business? Oh, sorry. Councillor Stadal.
I just had one question. I did want to circle back to the issue with the Montrose Park, just because I have had some input back from neighbors, and wondering, there was some discussion about the maintenance that was being done on the basketball court, as well as just in general in the field. Was a large pile of dirt, and the weeds have grown up quite substantially. And I understand there was a problem with so much rain this year that it was hard to access. And then the gates being open, which should have been closed. I'm wondering if there's any update from recreation staff being out there. I was by a couple of times since I've engaged with staff, and I haven't seen any change.
Director Angelo.
Yes, through you, Mr. Chairman. So I believe we've now put the nets up at the basketball court. We've engaged a contractor to do the crack sealing of the basketball court. I believe that's going to be done mid to end of next week. The amount of dirt, I believe, we'll end up removing later this summer as that area dries out. And we'll reseed that area. It is very wet in there right now, and it's a challenge getting in there to cut the grass. Staff have looked at the area in the ball field, infield area for potentially an area for small soccer nets that the committee had asked about last fall. The challenge with that is it is fairly level. If we can continue to keep the grass cut, the nets would work there. But baseball couldn't happen at the same time as the soccer was happening. So I'm not sure how we would deal with that. But something we have to think about. But there is an area that's fairly dry most parts of the year for some temporary soccer nets for the kids to kick a ball around. The gates, to be honest, I haven't had a chance to take a look at that or talk to my staff about that, but I will do that this week.
I appreciate that, because we had asked that there be a report come back this committee. I talked about it last September, and we didn't get a report back. And again, it's already halfway through summer season, and hasn't been much change. But I do appreciate if that it has been a wet season. I'm fairly certain just the feedback on that is I have not heard baseball at that diamond in years. I'm pretty sure that it's not used at all, even by local residents. So putting up soccer nets, I think, is probably a better idea. That's just my own personal opinion, especially since the residents asked for it. But yeah, having those gates closed would be, I think, really important. So thank you very much. I appreciate the update.
You're welcome. I think through you again, Mr. Chairman, I think we're waiting for the Parks Master Plan to be completed so we can then see what the public engagement would be or what the public interest is in developing that park. We didn't want to do a lot of investment in putting soccer nets, closing down baseball diamonds, refurbishment of the courts, the basketball courts, until we actually seen what the public's sort of opinion is or what the committee's or council's decision is with moving forward with that park. Perhaps it could be a great location for a dog park too as well. So again, we didn't want to presuppose and spend a lot of money in investing in that, but we have identified a small area that temporary nets could be installed. But how we manage that around the current baseball diamond, if somebody wanted to play baseball and someone's kicking the ball and playing soccer, is going to be a huge conflict. So we can't have both of them happening at the same time. I'm not sure how we'd manage that, so.
I have a question about the volleyball, or beach volleyball. That's the progress on that. Timeline on that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So Director Grimman and I have met with representatives of the youth professionals. I'm meeting with them tomorrow to look at the locations in Centennial Park. I believe they have an RFP ready to go out to engage a contractor to price it and then construct it later this year. So I think the aim is to have it completed sometime this fall for either use this fall, later this fall, or early next spring.
Council Boyce.
Thank you. I just have a question about if we can get an update on what's happening at Tucker's Corners and when that project will be completed.
Through Mr. Chairman, great question, because as of yesterday, when we had the Touch a Truck event, we had staff and contractors over there removing all the existing asphalt, digging out the area to prep it for the pavement. I think we've secured now a acrylic company to come in and apply the acrylic sealer to the pavement once that's done. Half of the old structure where the pickleball court is planned to go has been taken down. So things are well underway. That construction site, as you go by there, I wish I had some pictures to put together to show you today. I just hadn't had a chance to put it all together as of yesterday, so.
Thanks, Chris.
Is that it? Any other questions? Need two people to adjourn? Oh.
She's pointing.
Oh. And done.